Hello and welcome back to Sports for Dummies. In today's episode, we are previewing the Port Adelaide Power for the 2024 AFL season. Johnny, you know the drill. Let's get into it.
Port Adelaide had a really good start, especially the first 2/3 of the year, but they dropped right off towards the end of the year, losing 6 of their last 9 games, which included the 2 finals. Straight sets out for Port Adelaide, so really disappointed to see. They did have some injuries, but I think there was a little bit more to it. So we look forward to diving in and seeing where's Port going to finish, at the head of the 2024 season.
Yep, so 2023, their recap, Summary, they finished on 17 wins, 6 losses, 3rd on the ladder. So they actually were in good stead, of which they were up to round 17.
It seems like a good year. That's a good year.
Great year for them considering the year before they finished 11th. I know the years before they were the minor premiers in 2020. 2021 they finished 2nd, and then you're getting 11th in 2022, and then obviously you're finishing 3rd. So it is an improvement from the previous year. The great thing for them was 13 wins in a row.
Yeah.
And then it just became undone. I think they lost to your boys.
Well, this is where it gets dicey for Port Adelaide. They were 13-3. They were going against Carlton, who were just starting to get their little run. Like they just started that run, and they were coming to Melbourne, and they rested all their players. And Carlton had a few injuries as well, and we won by 50 points. What that showed to me is arrogance. Complete arrogance. Port Adelaide have had a list and have tried to compete. They have not won under Ken Hinkley. For a side to then rest a lot of their team thinking they're going to win easily. And from there, they never recovered. They lost 3 in a row. They won a few games at the end of the year against pretty easy sides. And then when it came up they got smashed by Brisbane and they were no match for GWS. Now, they did have some injuries. I will give them that. They did lose a few. But going into that Carlton game, they just a little bit of arrogance. It's like they were complacent almost.
That hurts. I feel like when any team, you have obviously injuries and players go down. But I do think Port have this little bit of arrogance about them.
Well, they think that, and there's arrogance that's founded.
And it's fair, first and second.
But you got to win. Like, arrogance is founded. Like, Collingwood has a bit of a swagger and arrogance about them. They've earned it. Geelong won a flag. Richmond had it. Hawthorn had it, the great sides. Port haven't won. And to be so arrogant, considering the last time they did make the finals, a couple of years before, they got beaten by the Dogs by 80 points at their home ground, and then they missed the 8 completely. You'd think the job isn't done until they win a premiership. So it just taught me a little bit about where is this, because the talent-wise, they're fine.
Yeah.
They're absolutely fine, but where are their heads at?
Do you reckon it's time for them? Do you reckon it's that they need, obviously, they've got the squad to do it. Do you reckon it's their time?
It's definitely time. They've finished top 4. Yeah. And their list they've got a really good demographic of their list. They've got a really good young midfield, who are out and out stars. Yeah,
they had 3 All-Australian selections. Rose, I don't know how to... It's Rosie,
Rosie,
Houston...
And Butters all had super years. They've got Ollie Lord coming through the ranks in the forward line. He was one of their shining lights against Brisbane, kicking 4 goals. They've got a good nucleus. Let's see what they can do.
We'll go into their team. They had, just on Houston... He absolutely tore the hearts out of all the Essendon supporters. Unforgettable moment. I think it was round 16, their home game. Siren goes.
It was your home game.
Oh, our home game, my bad. And he comes through with the goods. I think it was a close to 50-metre kick, if not bigger.
In the rain.
In the rain.
I watched it. It was very good.
I remember getting sent it because by then I think I'd given up on Essendon. And it was, but very impressive. I think that was their unforgettable moment for the year, one of their most highlighted. So we'll jump into their team. Johnny, lead the way.
So there's a bit that's happened in, the back line. They've added Thatcher and Radicalier, which is, Thatcher from the Bombers, Radicalier from Geelong. We've got Allaire on the bench, which I actually think he'll be a starter. I don't love Radicalier as as a key.
You never liked him. Why is that?
So let's look at this. And I said this at Geelong, and I was proven right. So as a pure athlete, give him a fair run at the ball. He's great. His football IQ, though, I don't rate at all. He didn't grow up with the game. He gets outbodied by small opponents pretty easy. He just doesn't have that natural feel for the game. Now, when Geelong said he was going to be a key, because he started as a forward, he's going to be a key defender last year. all Geelong supporters, I've got a couple of brothers who go for Geelong who are like, he's a gun and he's going to be really good at it. Well, he wasn't. he lost. He's moved on since. Yeah. I actually think he can be really isolated one-on-one. Thatcher's a good little bit undersized as a complete fullback. Alira is a great interceptor. Burton's an absolute star from Hawthorn. That was a great pickup when they got him from the Hawks. Bergman, Houston's a gun, and Mackenzie's a gun. So they've got.
Well, Mackenzie's an absolute jet. He was their best disposal kicking efficiency. I think 85.5 for the year.
That's a fair effort for a key defender.
You're not missing much. Yeah.
So they've got, apart from Alira, I actually like that back line.
Yeah,
so
I think
it's quite solid.
Well, I think Alira will earn a place in there. I just don't know where they're going to fit them in.
I think I'd have a Radical Alira on the bench.
Yep,
that's what I would do.
Yeah, no fair. I actually think Alira is a better player.
Yeah, he is. He absolutely. He reads the game better.
Run us through the midfield.
So you got Horn Francis, who's he had his first year from Port Adelaide. He moves like Nathan Buckley. He's solid. He wears the socks up high. Like he's just going to get better and better. He kicked 16 goals last year. Boak, he's going to be, on the wing, off the bench. He's been an absolute star for him for a very long time.
He gets better. He surprises everyone, I reckon.
He reminds me he's like a Joel Selwood. He's been a heart and soul player for ages.
Mitchell,
he's a heart and soul player. And then you got Butters, who won the BNF last year. He's just fantastic attacking. There's a lot to like about their centre line.
Yep.
Yeah,
run us through them forward.
I was waiting for a lead on.
No, I didn't have.
So their forward line's an interesting one. So you got Dixon, who missed a big bulk of last year. I don't think he's going to come in and kick 60 goals, but he does straighten them up. Georgiades comes back after missing most of last year. You got Rioli, who had a good solid year after his suspension from West Coast.
31 goals.
Correct. McKenty. Pau Pepper is an absolute bull. And he steps up like he's at the contest. He kicks big goals. But then there's one who we've got him on the bench, but I reckon he showed a lot in that qualifying final against Brisbane when they were smashed. He kicked 4 goals. He's just super good overhead. He's good one-on-one. He's a dead-eyed deck. Put that with Marshall, who I think is just an absolute professional. Leads up well, good overhead, generally kicks well. It's a pretty solid forward line as well. So right now we're looking, it's a pretty solid team.
Well, analysing the squad, they picked up well. I think their deficiency was that backline. And I think Zerk Thatcher...
Well, they lost Tom Jonas as well.
Tom Jonas, their captain, which is credit to Rosie for taking over. He's going to be their new captain.
He's a 100-game player.
That's a
he almost averages a goal a game. He's in him and Sam Walsh have been compared since day one, and I'll touch on that when we get to the players to watch. And then there's a bit of depth. Drew, Jones.
We haven't gone through the following.
Oh, so they've picked up Soldo from the Tigers.
Richmond.
From the Tigers, you got Rosie Wines after he's won the Brownlow. Was bit of misform, bit of injuries. Be good to see him back.
Do you reckon he should have won the Brownlow that year?
I think it warranted. There were so many players that year that could have won.
So it just shocked me because Wine's in that conversation for a Brownlow, but he had such a good year.
He had such a good year. There was a lot of players who you could have made the case for. I think he deserved it.
Oh no, I'm not taking that away. I just remember that season and how it was unexpected.
Yeah.
It very much, in my opinion, was.
But him coming back into the side will be good. So, who's going to be their ruck? It's, you got Soldo. And then in the bench, Drew, Burn-Jones, Finlayson, Lord, who I think is going to start. Finlayson won their goal kicking, so every chance that he starts on the field as well. So they've actually got a pretty strong side head to toe.
Yeah.
So this is going to be interesting when we do our pass marks because it's strong.
I guess the only thing, Charlie Dixon only had the 14 games, but he only had the 23 goals.
Yeah.
So from you're leading forward, that's quite hard to...
But what he does do, and this is where the emergence of Lord could taper that, Dixon creates a context. Yeah. He straightens it up. He takes a key defender, sometimes two. But so, as I said, he's not going to come back and kick 60 goals.
No.
But if we can then develop Lord, who's shown he can dominate on the big day or onto the big stage, well, then you got a handy forward line.
And Marshall. Marshall can kick his...
ultimate professional Marshall. He's actually my favourite player at Port. Goes about his business. Great in front of goal. Good overhead. He's just got good footy smarts.
Yeah. So looking at that team, my favourite part, I would say, would be that midfield's incredible.
And it's young.
That's ridiculous.
Apart from Boak.
They're a very young squad, 24.5 years of age, the 10th, how would you say, 10th oldest? Yeah. Or youngest? You know what? Whatever. Yeah. 10th oldest in the AFL. So you look at that. They've got 10th youngest. Sorry, they've got a lot of up about them. So I think this year they've got a lot going for them, and that midfield and forward line is ridiculous.
Sorry,
what is that? What is that? Anyway, we're going to
technical difficulties. Let's move on to the next segment.
We'll go into the ins and outs report.
So the ins, they didn't have anyone over pick 48. So they got Anastopoulos at pick 48, Charleston at pick 52, Lawrence at pick 57. They've obviously added Radicalier, Soldo, Jordan Sweet. Who's come over from the Dogs. He'll be, an extra person in the ruck too. It'll be him and Soldo. You've got Xavier Walsh in the rookie draft, and then Brandon Thatcher from the Bombers, and then the outs. This is what I like. And they did this when they started to. When Ken Hinkley first started, they got rid of a lot of. People will say they were talented, but they were dead wood. So Barclay delisted, Boner delisted, Dumont delisted. Xavier Dersma, fantastic out. His performance against Brisbane in that qualifying final was absolutely disgraceful. That's not great for you to pick him up. Fantasia's he was delisted. Carlton have picked it up. I think he suits Carlton well, but he's, bit of bruise fee footy there. Sam Hayes. Fantasia, yeah. Yeah,
I think he was a bomber.
And he was
very soft.
Yes.
Very soft player.
So Hayes delisted, Jonas retired, Lysa retired, Passini delisted, and Teakle delisted. I like these delistings because it was when Port a few years ago, and Port, correct me, but they got rid of, and these guys were on paper technically good. Pittard, Wingard, Polak. They were just soft.
Yeah.
But they got rid of him, and then Port started really, really competing, and it's like they got harder.
If you look at their team and the players that they have, Horn Francis, Bull, Boak, Bull, Pal Pepper, Bull. You've got these guys, but you have quality, Houston, Butters, you've got quality players who can use the ball, Rosie, Wines, Bull. You've actually got some tough players in that team. Dixon, monster.
Got a bit of goal about him. Got a bit rid of the deadwood.
Yeah.
I like what Port done. I'm actually very impressed with that.
Yep. No, I completely agree. Then we'll jump into their injuries. So you said they were injury-ridden last year. Now they actually, it doesn't seem like
it's not
too many.
bad. I mean, Walsh, who they've just picked up, will be a test for round one. Jackson, mid-season. William Drew, shoulder to be concluded. And Todd Marshall, he didn't play in the first match simulation. What I'm hearing is he will be back. Yep. So that would be a big loss. But I do expect him to be back. So the injury list ain't too bad.
That's one thing I've noticed about all teams this year. The injury list isn't too bad across the board.
No, just touch wood. Touch wood, guys.
Actually, after we did Carlton, then there was some that
don't even want to talk about us after that. Can I change my prediction? Just joking, Blue Boys.
Jump into the strengths and weaknesses. Johnny, lead the way.
So in the strengths, I'm going to do that young that Rosie, Butters, Houston. They're young players, but they've got a bit of experience. Like they're not first years.
Yeah.
There's a lot to build around there. Add in Ollie Lord. There's just a lot. There's a lot of buzz about them. A lot of edge. Players who can hit the scoreboard. All those players can hit the scoreboard. I think their backline's solid and they've got choice.
I think choice.
And I think their forward line has choice. Probably the clear one, which will move to the weakness, is probably a ruckman with Lysa going down. But apart from that, their actual, start to finish on that list, there's a bit of depth there. If that can stay healthy, it's a very solid team.
They have a very good squad. Like that, as I said, that was the only thing missing. I think their back line, their ruckman. That's the obvious one. Now that you say it, it's the elephant in the room. They don't have that second. I know Marshall sometimes goes in, but I don't think he's not that last set. So I think that's the only.
And these are the unknowns: Solder, Sweet. How are they going to perform? Then you've got the forward. Is Ollie Lord going to become the player that we thought, that we saw a glimpse of in the finals? The back line. How's that going to work? Adding Thatcher,
They've got a lot of
Radicalier in
players.
there.
Radicalier, McKenzie.
Their strength is choice.
Yeah, they've got a lot of choice.
So if one player doesn't work out, they can move, I guess, the magnets across the board.
Yeah.
There is choice there.
Which is a good position to be in.
Which is a good position to be.
I think, like you said, you've got to run, you got to know your best 22.
Yeah.
And I think having too much choice can almost, too many chefs in the one kitchen, you want to just make sure. I mean, their midfield's rock solid. You know their places. Their forward line looks the same. It's just that back line. They've got a lot of choice now. So it'll be interesting. I think, I strongly believe for them this year, they've just got to keep doing what they're doing. They've done really well. Their strength has been, I think, their recruiting for the back line. Outside of that, I mean, they've got on paper, they've got such a good list.
Yeah.
Like you look at it and you're like, gee, this is, 3 midfielders that got in the All-Australian selection. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Sorry, one of them at the halfback.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean though.
It's a very good
and they've all,
squad.
no more than 100 games. These guys are now like hitting like that prime.
I think
they're not first year players, but they're not, year 10 in. This is where we can see the best of them, and they were all fantastic last year.
I think it's their age for me that's their strength.
Yeah.
I think they've got the ability. I don't know if it's this year, but they've got the ability to really solidify a very good squad together and be playing the best footy at the right time.
Yeah.
And that's their strength. Their weakness, I think it's their ruck.
Their
that's
ruck
the
stock.
only thing that really, like you said, Soldo.
And it's a weakness from let's see how these guys go. But it's the glaring one where it's like, well, they don't have an absolute star.
No.
So we will see how these guys go. And to be honest, with rucks, Nan Curvis has made a great career, but he's not an A+ ruckman.
No.
You just need to do your job. If Soldo and Sweet...
Well, Soldo's a bit like that, isn't he? And
Correct.
you just need to have someone who can come in and get the job done.
Get the contest,
get the ball
run
down.
with them, make sure your opposition ruckman doesn't go forward and kick goals on you. Because, you get this ball to ground, you'd think that this midfield, 9 times out of 10, is going to win.
Yeah. Now, we're going to jump straight into players to watch, Johnny.
Well, like I was saying, Jason Ward-Francis, I was a bit critical of him. He went to North Melbourne, kind of sucked out to leave because he didn't like where he was, and I sort of struggled that. He hit the ground running at Port Adelaide, and he reminds me of Nathan Buckley, how he moves, how he kicks. He can kick from distance. He can hit targets. He's just a big body. Even how he wears his socks up. He kicked 16 goals last year, and this is now his 3rd year into the system. You can see this, how he hits targets.
He's a gun. He's a serious gun.
Go look at Buckley's highlights and just see him when he's staring up, he can hit, he spears targets in. He's in his 3rd year now. For him to add to Rosie, Butters, Houston, this is
Wines.
I reckon Wines, and then we've got Wines who's
Wines
coming
is
back.
a Brownlow, man.
Imagine another year for Horne-Francis, and I thought he was very good last year. He could go to another level this year.
They've just got a top tier amount of that ball movement and just their heart. Like you said, the way that they play, their heart and soul, but they've got a lot of footy smarts about them. They've got a lot of hard players.
They're very exciting to watch.
Yeah, they're a fun team to watch. It's not.
And
what
I thought that they got too, because I've always been a bit negative on Port, and I've always been proven wrong in the finals. Proven right. They actually had a hard edge about them. Yeah. And then they went and rested all those players, and it was like that edge gone. It was like they got complacent, and then you saw Brisbane against GWS when they played Adelaide in the second showdown. When they played Carlton, they were just beaten.
Yeah.
Just beaten around the ground at the contest. I want to see that Port for the first 16 games where I'm like, they've developed an edge about them. I won't say the word on it, bit of see you next Tuesday.
That's good. That's good.
And in terms of another player to watch, well, Connor Rosie. So him and Walsh started together. And it's amazing because Walsh got the unanimous, was one vote, from having a unanimous panel for the Rising Star. And Kane Corns, I think, made the call that Rosie will better than Walsh. And everyone laughed, especially me. From there, though, I actually think Rosie
had a point.
Had a point. He hits the scoreboard a bit better. He's got that X factor. Now, since then, Walsh then went and absolutely tore up the final series and is, I think, regained, just that a bit spot in front.
Yeah.
But Rosie, now he's got the captaincy. Can he go to be, one of those top 5 players in the AFL?
Yeah, mate.
Can he go to another level? So I think watch these guys because he can hit you. Like he runs, like he can hit and he can hit you on the scoreboard, hurt you on the scoreboard. So I can't wait to see him this year. And I guess we don't have the highlights. Ollie Lord kicked 4 goals in a qualifying final against a good Brisbane backline.
It's a pretty impressive stand. Like, I think for them this year, what do you reckon their pass mark is, Johnny? Like, what do you think?
So for them is to make a grand final because they haven't done it. They've been making finals consistently. They've lost it. They've lost 2 prelims. They lost to Richmond by 3 points in 2020, 2020 or 2019. Doesn't they lost and then they got smacked by the Bulldogs the year later at home. They need to win. So that's two prelims they've lost at home.
Well, they lost the showdowns last year.
And they lost the showdown. And that's a good sign. And this is the question where, are they even the best side in South Australia anymore?
Well, the problem is, that's a
Are they the best side in South Australia? Because Adelaide are bloody strong.
They're coming.
And Adelaide have that edge.
Well, mentally.
Yeah.
I think it's a mental game.
And you could see it. You can see, because they're always big games. And you can always sort of tell, who's going better.
Who's got the edge.
And Adelaide do look like in those tussles, looked like, especially in that second one, they just looked like they were a much better side, albeit for the injuries. But a pass mark for Port now is to make a grand final.
Do you reckon they can, though? Do you personally think they can?
Looking at that, they absolutely can.
Yeah.
Where do I think they'll finish looking at that? I had them dropping to 7th and 8th before we did this preview. I'm going to admit I was wrong. I think they're at the bottom. I don't think they're better than Collingwood or Brisbane.
No.
I think Melbourne and Carlton are better full strength, but there's a lot of issues already. Melbourne, off-field stuff. Carlton's backlines, isn't starting well for the year. Port between 3 and 6, third to 6, I think they're going to sit.
Yep. Okay.
That's where I think they're going to sit. But a pass mark for them is to make a granny.
Yeah. Yep. So
what do you think?
Well, they had a 13-win run last year.
Yeah.
They've finished first 2020, as I said, second 2021.
Yeah.
They had a poor 2022.
Yeah. Out
of the finals. Come back, finished third, and straight sets out. I think they can. They've ignited the power. They've got their backline where they need it to be. They've got the squad to do it. They've got the youthfulness to do it. They've appointed a very youthful captain who can take them places. I reckon they can get there.
Yep.
I honestly think they can get there. I reckon if they can get to a granny, I think they'll finish top 4.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
It's just where they obviously their pass mark would have to be a granny. They have to get there.
Just because they've made the prelims and whatnot. And Ken Hinkley's been there. So Ken Hinkley, remember when he took over, Port Adelaide were almost going into receivership.
Yeah.
They were going to go broke. Remember, the Port Adelaide Magpies have the strongest tradition of all time in terms of for their South Australian side. I think it's over 30 premierships. Like you go to Port Adelaide and win, and then they entered into the AFL. By year 4 or 5, they finished on top 3 times in a row. And they lost to an awesome Brisbane side. They would come up against an awesome Brisbane side in the finals. And then they won that grand final. And that was a super side. They lost to Geelong in 07 by a record margin. And then they just died. They died off. They died off. And they were actually almost going back. They were almost going broke. No, they've been back. Like Ken Hinkley turned this around.
Yeah.
But he's been there since 2013 now, Josh. 2014. It is time. Like, that's a big...
Yeah, so in his first season, 2014, took him to 5th.
Yep.
Then 9th and 10th in the following years. 5th again, 10th. And then 2020 is when they've really started to get... They've finished the last three out of 4 top 4.
They made a prelim in that first year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've played 3 prelims under Ken Hinkley. He's had a fair crack. He's had his chance. It's time to make a granny now. It's time to make a granny now.
I think there'll be some question marks if he doesn't.
I think so. Oh, there has been. I know Koshi has been putting pressure on him consistently.
Well, good. It's definitely working to get them there, but I don't know if it's working to get them further. And I think they need...
Analysing, like looking at that list.
Their squad is good enough.
And, it's actually... There's not that many injuries.
It's an... Like looking at it, like we said, the only thing is that ruck. But if you have a ruckman, Soldo's that come in, get the job done. You just be a Mr. Consistent. The making of that team is ridiculous. You've got an absolute weapon out of the back line. McKenzie with his left foot, he can hit targets like there's no tomorrow. Houston off the halfback, he's just a freak. The midfield's ridiculous. It's just it's
a good side.
If they don't make the granny this year, I'd be upset.
Yeah.
But I reckon they've got the power. I reckon if they can come in, if you know what they need to do, they need to win their showdowns.
Yeah.
They get that edge. They get those. You know what?
I can't wait. I'm very. That's if you had to tell me what game I'm excited for going into the year.
Showdowns.
I am just Adelaide and Port Adelaide right now is the game that I want to watch before anything else.
100%.
Not including Carlton games. The game that I want to watch is Adelaide versus Port.
You know what? That's almost like a minor premiership for them.
Oh, it's just the biggest thing, isn't it?
What I mean by that is, though, it's the clutch game. It's the mental game.
There's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure, a lot of build-up. You want to own your town.
Well, Adelaide are owning it at the moment.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see it.
It's going to be an exciting year. It's going to be great. See the showdown. See Port get up. I reckon it's a top 4 finish in my verdict. Guys, what do you think? Where do you reckon they're going to finish? What's your pass mark for them? And if you are a Port fan, did we miss anything? Is there any insights or analysis that you guys have? We really appreciate all the comments as well. So, guys, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and...
Before I say that, we've hit double ton in terms of subs. So we're on 208 subs now. So in a few months, just really appreciate it. Didn't expect all that. So please like and subscribe. Like, subscribe, and ring the fucking bell. And thank you so much for subscribing.
See you in the next one, guys. Bye-bye.
See you later.